Hey guys, how are you? So, just a bit of a recap for you on Season 4, Race 5, the 2K Cup here in New Zealand. We were down at Taupo at the McLaren Motorsport Park. Pushed the car in after we got back from the race. So just out in the garage, just having a bit of a check. We had a check after the race and everything looked good, but it's Good Friday, there's not much going on. Thought I'd just escape to the garage for a little while. Some barefoot mechanics, not advisable. Always wear suitable footwear in the workshop environment. So there we go, Taupo. First time we've been to Taupo, and what a beautiful, beautiful day it was. The sun was out, there pretty much wasn't a cloud in the sky. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. The motorsport park is laid out on this pretty much flat section of ground, and in the background, when you're sitting in the grandstand, in the background you've got this mountain that just pops up out of nowhere. And typical New Zealand scenery, it's gobsmacking, absolutely gobsmacking. As was the track itself. Again, not a beat. She didn't miss a single beat. Much better round than Pukekohe for us. Obviously Pukekohe, we had a bit of a ding dong, but this time around, all good. Didn't touch any other cars, didn't get carried away. Had a really good run, both myself and Rob. So the day pans out in typical 2-cap style because we're sharing the drive, myself and Rob. I jump in the car, go and do some qualifying, get used to the track. This time, obviously, first time, so understanding where the corners go. It's surprising, actually. The guys at the 2K Cup sent through a link to a video from one of the competitors from last year. And I watched the whole 33 minutes of this thing, trying to understand where the track goes, what gear, how fast, rah, rah, rah. It's not until you actually get out there that you've got any chance of doing a decent job at the circuit. So I think it's 10 or 15 minutes for qualifying we were out there. I really didn't enjoy it. I came back in. Remember, we had the four-wheel alignment, we had the camber caster checked, we had the toe-in checked, both back and front by the guys down at Raceline. And I jumped in the car, and I really didn't like it when I first went out. For the qualifying, which was a real shock. It put me in a bit of a downer, to be honest. I was a bit mopey around the paddock, as the team will confess to you. So I went out, qualified 33rd. So right down towards the back end of the grid. Not particularly impressed. Didn't impress myself. Wasn't particularly happy with it. But there you go. It was what it was. We got back into the pits, we checked all the tyre pressures while they're hot, noticed that we had a really hot right front actually compared to the front left. Yep, that was it. We were up kind of nudging 40 psi, which is clearly too hot for these tyres to stay sticky. They just kind of get so hot that they just kind of slip and slide around. So that was probably the reason. We reduced the tyre pressure down cold by about 3 or 4 psi, which turns out hot. We were coming in at just under 35 psi, about 34 hot, which I understand is still potentially a little bit high. We'll have to play with that as we go forward. We'll have to run more tests and be a little bit more scientific about how we run the tyre pressures. But the long and the short of it was that the car drove so much better during the race. Rob went out in his qualifying session, so when you're sharing a drive in any motorsport race scenario, if you're going to race, you have to go and do laps in the car beforehand. So I went out and qualified, and then the second drivers got their qualification 10 minutes later on. Rob went out. He's much the same as me, never been there before, had to drive around. We both actually stumbled a little bit with the gear change. I don't know whether we were kind of trying to push a little bit too hard and trying to force things through. Nothing wrong with the gear change. I think just the fact she's done 180,000 Ks, best part of. Maybe some of the plastic bushes and the gear linkage are a bit worn. So I think we'll probably take care of that over the season break. Other than that, this thing in here, it's definitely down on power. It will be interesting actually to see what its pushing out compared to factory standard with the 180,000 Ks on it. Maybe there's some, I don't know, some good vibes we can give it to make it produce more output. But with regards to reliability, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Temperature stayed down, oil pressure stayed up, and she didn't miss a beat. Quite outstanding. You know, if I used to play with minis in the UK, old A series minis, and if you asked an A series mini to that had done anywhere near this kind of mileage to stay at maximum revs, red line revs, for half an hour, it would just give up and flop. It would be hopeless. I guarantee it would die. This thing just keeps going on and on and on, which is really bloody awesome, and exactly what we're after. We don't want to have to pay to keep it going. We just want to pay to race the whatnots off it. We mounted new mount for the action camera in the car. It's a little bit low, so we'll have to raise that a little bit, get a bit of picture going next time out. So that's what we've got to do. Everything else in the car's fine. The gear linkage. We changed the oil last time around. We've checked the oil. It is as crystal clear as a crystal clear thing. It's like the engine nearly hasn't been run. That's fantastic. The brake fluid, remember we changed the brake fluid because we had some discoloration thinking that the fluid had boiled or got really hot at least. Brake fluid's come back and again, she stayed crystal clear. I can't express enough how fantastic this car handles. The boys down at Raceline did a fantastic job lining her up for us before we went down. As I say, first run out, we're a bit disappointed, but it turns out we had too much air in the tyres and the pressures got too hot, etc, etc. So there you go, that was Taupo. Yeah, that was Taupo. I'm really looking forward to going back to Taupo, actually. It was a bloody good race. Some of the other cars down there, the other race series, they were some weird and wild stuff going on down there. Mark II Escorts with V8 sitting in the front of them, and arches, you know, that were a foot wide on either side of the car. So some really aggressive vehicles from the classic car couple, I think it was. Regards to the 2K Cup, what to next? The next race is the last race of the season, race number 6. Bit disappointing, really. But the good thing is, race 6, they're changing up the format. Race 6 is an hour-long endurance race with a driver change at Hampton Downs. Now, I think it's the standard club circuit at Hampton Downs that we've been around before, but wouldn't that be fantastic if it was the long circuit? That would be just bloody awesome. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what and find out there. In the championship, the first 40 competitors are being reversed in their grid order, so that's pretty much the fast group of cars get reversed in their grid order, and we'll just go out as we are. There's some real rivalry building up in the pack where we are at the moment. Greg and the little Honda Civic, we always seems to be buzzing around together a little bit. So Greg, if you're watching, turn the bloody noise down. You're too noisy. I can't hear what my car's doing. Yeah, there's a good fun little bundle of stuff going on. So a month's time we'll be out again. I'm going to nip upstairs now and cut some video and get it up online so you can see some in-car from Taupo. I'll try and keep it short. Maybe I'll do 2 versions. I'll do a long one for the geeks out there, and I'll do a little mini one which is more action-packed. We had a couple of spins, a couple of close calls, couple of nice riding across the curb moments. So I'll see if I can scoop some of those out and stick them up online. So until the preview for race 6, happy Easter.